All right. Stripes and Coffee back at it. We are 2024 week 5. I guess our 4th year of doing this. We're calling it season 4. But I don't know if we can call it seasons with I don't know, like 5 fans. And it's like 3 of my accounts, I think. So oh, one interesting thing is I had a couple of post-game shit talkers in the comments for the Commanders game. It's like, oh, you know, well, I'm getting popular, or we are.
That's kind of like that's weird. Why would they go and like of all the places to
Yeah,
do
so
that?
stupid fans. I mean, if I was them, I would be excited. They got an exciting young guy. I don't know that we said anything that was like, I don't know if they probably didn't listen to it. They just probably just made assumptions what we said. Either that or maybe I said something in the description, which more or less I think we kind of figured on paper we should win. We were better, but um didn't turn out that way.
Facts.
But they were like, yeah, everybody thinks we're going to be an easy out, and it's like, well, you do got a guy, man. So you earned a little bit of shit talking, whatever. That's the
It's
way.
a week to week
Mhm.
league, so you gotta show up every week.
Yeah, yeah, very, very true. So speaking of showing up, um, we more or less showed up for Carolina. The offense, I think we did show up. I think the only thing I can nitpick on the offense right now is just a little more production in the red zone. It seems like we, settling a little bit. Like we can get down to the red zone almost every drive, hardly any punts, but we settle for a couple field goals. But when that's almost a nitpick because when you're getting over 30 in this league on a regular basis, I think now we're averaging like 31 points a game or something. The offense is doing his job. I don't know how you all feel about that. So it's like the defense right now until they get it together is a liability. So um
Hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I think getting it together is more possible. I don't know who's the final list of actives, but there were a lot of people who were supposed to play that had been hurt. So I haven't seen the final injury report of like who is playing and who's not, but it seems like the reinforcements, as we discussed, are coming, at least some of them.
well, I did read it and it's probably 90% good news. So we got most of those key pieces back. So BJ Hill is going to play.
Okay.
Hendrickson
Yeah.
is not going to miss, due to like his little stinger injury or whatever he had. So he's going to be in. We got Myles Murphy back and McKinley Jackson. All great news with the freaking Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the running offense of the Baltimore Ravens. Sheldon Rankin's still out, so that's not great.
That's one I knew, but I mean, that's still a lot of people
Yeah,
that
most the D-line, most of it back. And they dropped Zach Carter.
I
We
saw that. Yeah.
to make room. So, and he has not been good. So sadly, it just hasn't worked out. But one of the key inactives is Mike Hilton.
Oh, he's not playing.
No, like I know he was kind of like questionable somewhere in that doubtful somewhere. I don't know where he was exactly. Last I think I heard was questionable. So I'm like, well, maybe hopefully he plays, but it looks like it didn't work out. So he was on the list of inactives. So they
That's
brought
on the
up Jalen
East.
Davis. So I suspect he might get some snaps at nickel.
What about
Josh
Josh Newton?
Yep, Josh Newton. I think he might get some snaps. They might not be just one person. So I kind of think that's how they'll work that. So but it just kind of sucks when we've had a little bit of tackling issues and your best tackling cornerback is not on the field. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Facts. He's by
he's
far the
very
best
good against
tackle.
yeah, he's very good against the run. So at any rate, um we'll just go back and we'll just talk about the Ravens game. We, kind of recapped a little bit on the Carolina game, but like our offense seems like it's humming. Defense needs some work, but we have reinforcements, and they played good enough and made the stops we needed last week, so it wasn't all bad. But they were a little more leaky than I would like to see. So, is that pretty much sum it up for last week's performance as a whole?
Yeah.
I would say so. It's hard to say, it feels like each week we're sort of coming together, week one, sort of weirdness, week two is a complete game that didn't go our way. Week three, good offensive showing, not a great defensive showing.
Mm,
This week, or last week was the same thing and kind of improved. So I'd like to think that shows an upward trajectory of improvement.
Yeah, like the one thing about like our start, like being like, oh, we're 1-3, we're not making the playoffs, we suck, is most teams that are in that position actually do suck or have significant problems. I feel we're like right there. We've not been getting blown out. They've been very, very close losses. And, down to the point to where you change even one play in almost all those games, we win, right? Patriot, Tanner Hudson does not fumble that just before crossing the end zone. We have a chance of winning that game. Hell, how many chances was it in the KC game? You changed one of about a dozen plays,
You changed the very last one, just no, no
Yeah, we had
flag.
them right where we wanted them, and just if no penalty on that, or Joe Burrow doesn't fumble that, or I really even like to think of it the play just before that if Gesicki catches that first down,
Mhm.
because that was the very next play where that was fumbled. Just I don't know. The Commanders, even though we could not stop a nosebleed, we lost by a score.
We just needed one
If
stop.
they would have got one stop, So, and it's the same with last week, except we won, like you change a few plays and maybe we don't win or whatever, but we've just been a play away. This is, I guess, the point I'm trying to make. So things have been coming more and more and more together. So now Ravens week. And it's key that we put it all together. Like each side of the ball is going to have to do enough. What do you guys
Mhm.
got to say about that?
I agree. I think Joe said it
1,000%.
himself. He said that he feels he has to play a perfect game. So I feel like they have that mindset of like,
Yeah.
I don't know why sometimes it comes out lopsided because yes, it's like it feels like sometimes one side shows up and the other one doesn't. But I think they all recognize the same thing, that it needs to all come together kind of, in the best way, not halfway lopsided or anything.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And with their rushing attack, Lamar and Derrick Henry, we need to stop them from running for damn 8,000 yards
Yeah.
combined this game.
I think we need to sell out on the run, honestly, man. Just make them pass it. I'll
I
live
I
with that.
I think so too. Like kind of like we did with KC. Just sell out, let them. It's just opposite, right? Because we sold out the run, so they let so they could pass. So
Yeah.
that's why that game was not a good run game showing, because we let them have that.
Hmm.
I think we need to do that for this week, and our corners are normally pretty good. I think they can hold up in coverage. So if we can
I think
just
so.
contain Lamar, don't let him get off the edge, contain that edge, which we normally have been pretty good with. We'll see if that can hold up this year, and then sell out for the run. Don't let them run all over us. I mean, okay, let them run, but they just can't have all these explosive runs and be the reason they win the game.
Hmm.
So make
Because
them.
that's gonna set up their everything. Like play, that's gonna once that run gets going, it's gonna kill us. Like
Yeah, then there's going to
it
be
opens up
people
everything else.
open, and then Lamar will have a bunch of easy passes, and he'll go 15 for 18, and people will think he's Messiah. So, um,
Exactly.
and I ain't gonna lie, man, the guy's good. Like
He is.
you combine that skill set with him being able to run, and he can make passes. It's just sometimes he's inconsistent with it. I feel in key moments, but the guy,
Mhm.
when he's got it going, he can throw it around the field. So, um. But like I really agree with you. I think that stopping them from running all over the place will be the key. So now, what do you guys think on the offensive side? What's your thoughts there?
I feel like we should probably score on every possession. I would say I don't know if they'll want to take the ball first or not, if they'll get the chance to pick, but I could see this being a game where they do, if they win the toss, I wonder if they might take it and try to kind of put the foot on the gas right away. I think that that's kind of the key for the offense, is just, especially if the defense doesn't show up, especially if we're trying to fight. I could see this being a shootout game if our defense isn't kind of containing them well.
Mhm.
So with that being said, it feels like the offense needs to put, pedal to the metal either way, and then just hopefully the defense can, you know, clean up, make it so they're not getting points. But if
Mhm.
anything has to happen, they probably have to do that, is what I would say.
Yep, yep. I think the Ravens defense is very well coached. You're going to get limited possessions, and I think that's why Joe says he needs to be perfect, because every possession you need to get something out of it, because he's
Exactly.
been efficient before with the Ravens. It just doesn't end up in points. Like that, you get stopped just before you can get to a point to score. That's like slow moving the ball, slow moving the ball, slow moving the ball. Then you get, eventually they're going to get a stop because they're so good when you're like dinking and dunking, because you kind of have to. They play too high and disguise it very, very well. So you don't know, this is, everything that I've read and heard everybody talking about. They just, and even Joe himself, it's just, they disguise what they're doing very, very well. They do too high to keep you from getting beat deep. And they're very, very good at running that defense to not get beat deep. And they kind of confuse you to where you go to your check down and then they rally to that check down, so it's like the check down's almost a nothing, you know what I mean? So I feel though that we got some keys that could really help us on offense. And Charlie Goldsmith, he writes for the Cincinnati Enquirer, Reds and Bengals, and he pointed out something pretty awesome about the last time we played. So do you remember that last drive that Joe had before he got hurt, that touchdown drive?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was just talking about how we really got our tight ends involved, and running backs, when just doing kind of short stuff and, getting some nice medium chunk yardage, just with the tight ends. So we've been doing a lot of the 12 personnel with 2 tight ends out there, and Eric All can block. We know Drew Sample can block, and that's mainly what he does. He's not a great receiver, but Eric All can kind of do it all. Like Irv Smith last time was like dropping stuff and screwing it up and kind of screwed that whole thing up for us, sadly. But I think Eric All, he might be a little release valve there for some of that stuff we want to do and kind of open things up. Joe's gonna need to get rid of it fairly quick, or make a quick decision. Just make his read and get the ball there. I don't think it's got to be like this quick West Coast offense necessarily, but he's not, gonna really have time to go through progressions. They've got a really good pass rush, and that's one of the keys to it too. Now they're good on the back end, but I think I read that they're giving up a few more yards than they used to, and they're giving up about a touchdown more per game. So if we can get enough time, we might be able to, pick our spots and maybe get a couple big plays or get some intermediate, center of the field stuff. That would be pretty sweet too. And our offensive line is playing like in top 10. Like we said, they had top 10 potential and maybe even like upwards to top 5. And that's
They've
both
been playing like it.
Mhm. So if they can play like that, and we get a heavy dose of being able to run the ball too, I think our offense might be time for them to kind of crack the code on the Ravens.
It did seem like, in that game that Joe got hurt, it seemed like before he was hurt, the offense was doing better than we had against them in other games. They won the game, but he went out. So that's kind of like, I don't know if that would have been the case if he stayed in. So that leaves
Right.
me
Yeah, he got
hopeful
us
for
a
the
lead,
offense.
so
Yeah.
he got us a lead. Yeah, like a couple drives stuffed, whatever, but it's like it's AFC North back and forth football, just regardless. Like, even on their side, they don't normally, like here lately, don't normally kill us. A couple games, maybe they, put up quite a few points or whatever, but for the most part, they're still pretty damn close, right?
Yeah, the last couple was
Mhm.
20 to 34.
Is that
The one
is that a
before
Jake
them was
Browning one?
27-24.
Okay, was 27-24? Was that the one Burrow got hurt?
Yeah, and we lost obviously.
Mm,
And prior to that, they've been 17-24, 27-16, and 17-19.
All
It's
pretty
kind of been
close.
close, yeah. It all been
yeah,
pretty close.
yeah, like 1-score games and like the 2-score games were mostly like a touchdown field goal type 2-score, not like a
Yeah.
2 touchdown, except that last one. But that was a Jake Browning near end of season.
Yeah,
I don't even really remember that game too much. Yeah, I think at that point we were kind of out of it, right? So yeah, I think once we lost to KC, that took us out of the playoff chances last year. So, um,
yep.
but at any rate, I do think that we have a path for success. Joe Burrow has really got MVP numbers. Like in the AFC, he was first or second in like all the major stats, yardage, touchdowns, interceptions, completion percentage, quarterback rating. I mean, if you're number 1 or 2 in the AFC, when you have Lamar, Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, who else? I mean, maybe people wouldn't say Justin Herbert because he's, it's like, what have you done for me lately? And he's kind of fell down that list. But Josh Allen, I didn't say him. He's been playing really good this year. So he's ahead of all those guys in, all the major stats. So, I mean, I think he's top 5 in about everything NFL wide. So, nobody cares if it doesn't go in the win column, but I could see him making an MVP case if, because a lot of the times MVP is about a story. So, coming back from a wrist injury, slow start, and Joe Burrow puts a team on his back and carries him to a playoff,
Yeah, I would say that that's probably going to be he has to maintain the stats, and then we probably have to make it to at least the playoffs, maybe further.
Yeah. Like if we win the North and get to the playoffs, win a couple games or something, then that he would be like square up in there, I believe. So.
Thanks.
I agree.
At
We can show
minimum,
it
an all
tonight.
pro.
Let's say that again.
A minimum, he'll make an all pro too.
Yeah, for
if he
sure,
keeps it up.
for sure. But a lot of people forgot about him. But I mean, it just maybe they feel like he doesn't play sexy ball, like he doesn't do all this wild stuff. He just plays very, very solid quarterbacking. But they
And
make it,
sometimes he does.
and sometimes he does. I mean, people act like he's not mobile, but he's mobile. And he does things off the move and makes magic happen. So sometimes I don't understand that, but I don't know. Yeah, this is a very, very important game. I think it nearly sinks our chances if we lose, to be honest with you. I hate to feel that way, but we're actually not in the worst of spots because of how wonky the AFC North is. So Ravens are 2-2, we're 1-3. We beat them. We're now tied record wise and have a tiebreaker against them. And I don't think anybody's really worried about Pittsburgh as a whole. Their 3-1 start, I think, is just Mike Tomlin squeezing a little extra juice off that lemon than, most people would be able to get,
He's good at that, but they still can't make him. He can't make the team completely.
Yeah, they just offensively just don't got the juice. They got a good defense, but I don't think it's necessarily world-beating defense. It's like it's a defense you can score on, but you're not going to necessarily do awesome. That's just they don't have the juice on offense for the good teams to keep up, I don't think. So, I mean, it seems like their recipe for success is keeping you below 20 points and hoping that, that below 20 points is like 14, so they can score their 17 or 19 and beat you. Maybe low 20, something like that,
Yeah.
So you can go up and do that 25 plus on them. I mean, you're probably going to beat that team. But getting this win, getting back to, an extra win in that win column, beating an AFC North opponent in already kind of wonky standings, puts us on track to still win the North. And one other thing, like, oh no, or this is the easy part of the schedule, and later on is when it gets hard. By the time we get there, we're going to say that maybe that wasn't as hard as we thought.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to see what some of them teams are doing, but this is always kind of like before the season starts,
Sometimes teams are better or worse than
the easy part might not be like, well, that team made the playoffs and was pretty good. And like later on, it's like, well, they didn't really have the juice we thought they were going to. Like, who knows? And then on top of that, I know we can beat good teams. So
yeah, I think in some ways we're our own worst enemy right now. We aren't playing up to our potential at all moments. So this is the perfect game to like, okay, now this is where you do it. I mean, we showed up during the KC game that the win didn't go our way, but the team showed up. So I just
no, that's exactly, I mean, it's loss is a loss, but and there's no moral victories, I guess, or whatever, but at least you feel after that win that you can compete. You don't feel defeated, like, like you can't compete with these teams. So
exactly. So that's what I'd like to see tonight. Or today. I guess we'll see what happens, but that's, that's our recipe. Be that team. That's where it's so interesting is that I think this one's going to be tough, but if we play like we can, I don't see why we can't win.
Right.
We can beat them. We just have to show up on all sides.
Yeah, I think, it's we're going to have to all show up. It's like, we gotta, like, even if we're not like our old defensive self where we're like playing pretty dominant, we have to be solid enough, right? And
Mhm.
maybe it's a game where like the offense has to carry the defense, but the defense can't be so terrible like it was a couple of those games that the offense never has a chance. We have to play complementary football. They got to go get a couple stops. They're going to have to get a takeaway or something. They're going to have to do something that, at least keeps them from running away with it, and giving our offense a chance, or, flipping the fortunes to our favor. Um, on offense, it seemed like we've mostly got what we need going on, but like I think we need to play complementary there, where we're doing some of the short stuff, we're doing the run game, we're doing the intermediate, and taking our chance on the explosives when they're there, because you're only going to get a couple singled up looks.
Mhm.
So if you get you know Chase Higgins singled up, you got to take those shots downfield when you get them. When you can recognize them, and that's the hard part. So if we can marry all that up together, we can beat this team. We're at home, and it's time, man. So we're out of September. As Green Day said, wake me up when September ends. Well, it's over, man. So
That's what the Bengals were
mm,
asleep for the past month, so now they're
yeah,
gonna wake up.
sleeping giant, man. So, and it's not towards Halloween, which is also scary games for us, but it's September's over and it's not Halloween time. So yeah, we better get
Mhm.
this win. So
Mhm.
you guys got any final thoughts for this?
Um, I think I'd agree with you. I'd be pretty concerned for the season if we lose, but I will say I don't think all hope is lost. I
Mm,
think it's not a great look. I think if we win, we're in, obviously a much better position, but I do still think even if we were to lose, I still think there's a chance. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't put our whole season on this game, but it is very important for the direction.
yeah, I agree. It's not, I mean, what we know we can do, we still, I mean, you still got to do it. But if we were to lose, that's a terrible blow. But you know, I mean, I guess it's like the Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance. So
Yeah.
we have a tendency to get hot. So as long as we don't fall too far behind, but
That's
um,
going to be the thing is that I would, if there's someone a team I could trust to do that, we've been consistently showing slowness at the start and, getting hot at the right time. It would just be when is the hole too big to dig out of? And that's like, I don't know that it would be today. So I guess it's just something, because this will be a tough and a hard fought game that I don't know how it's going to go. And I hope we win, but I think that there's still a path to
mm,
at least to the playoffs, and all we need is to get in. Even if we can't win the North, I think
yeah,
there's still a path to the playoffs, even if we lose. We just, you know, it would probably depend also on how we lost. Do we show up and we get blown out actually, or we barely lose? But I guess this is a very important game. We should win it, or I don't want to
yeah,
say have to, but there's still a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
really. And we don't got many more losses in us if you think about it. I mean, how many wins is it going to take to get in? Period. Like, what are the wild cards? Like, minimum of 10, right? I suppose there's a chance a 9-win team can win it, but like, if you don't have at least 10 wins, and it might take 11, I don't know. Um, it seems like it's pretty even across the board. We don't have tons of these teams that are like undefeated, and some of them are on the NFC side as it is. So that kind of works in our favor that everybody's losing a little bit, but if you think about it, we are already at 3 losses. So we'll say we lose 2 divisional and then 2 other games. That's 7 losses. And that puts us at 10-7. So,
Yeah.
and that's, you know,
I will say that we kind of did that one of these years where we finished it with 8 wins in a row or something. I think
yeah,
that
this team can
was,
do it. So,
so that's where I don't want to get too doom and gloom just because that's not fun. That's why I'm trying to, I
no,
don't
no,
want
we
to
want
think
to
about the
enjoy these
loss.
football games. And yeah, so
Yeah. So I just want to, I know that this game will be hard fought and I don't know which way it's going to go, which is why I wanted to just say, I think there's still a way. It gets harder with every loss, but I think we can still find a way.
yeah. No, no, you're right. We could go on like a 6, 7, 8 game win streak in, like we've done that before. So, the reinforcements coming, now we'll get a true picture of our defense, what it could look like, for the most part. We still don't have Sheldon Rakins, but at least have a better picture. And Myles Murphy, like that pass rush, I think has been one of the keys to us not being good, because when you can't hit home and you give the opposing receivers enough time, somebody's always going to win and get open. They have the advantage as it is. And when they got like sit back there and kind of pat the football for 3 seconds, they're going to find somebody. These quarterbacks are too good. The receivers are too good. And they just got too much of the rules working in their favor. So we got to have somebody more than Hendrickson, adding the pass rush. And I'm really hoping Myles Murphy can take a step.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We need another person to step up for putting pressure on the quarterback. We literally relying on one person at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And they
It's been
double team
four
him or
games.
just, steer away from him. And then, like we didn't get a sack last week, against Andy Dalton. So,
Right.
and
That's
he's
crazy.
somebody like you can make him look like a wanker doodle when you freaking pressure him. So, it's just that just going forward, the D-line just, getting a little push up the middle, and then just a little better play from our edges, as far as, getting to the quarterback. So,
Well, I think if he can step up, then that will allow Hendrickson. Hendrickson's already, he's wrecking havoc where it feels like he's kind of by himself.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
get him some help and he
It's
can
crazy.
probably.
It's really good, but
Mhm.
the D-lane as a whole is very bad.
So if he can get some help, I think he can. So that's one thing I'd say, is that maybe he'll get a chance to be more disruptive because he's got a little bit of help. He's not just doing it all himself. So that's one thing I think could be big in this game
Mhm.
with Murphy back.
Yeah, really hoping he takes a step. Somebody on Twitter said that like in preseason, he was just doing drills where just hitting the dummy, and it's like it looks like he could lift a Ford Fiat, is what they said.
Probably.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, big powerful dude. So yeah, let's hope that makes a difference. So well, dang guys, it's telling me we have 9 minutes and 47 seconds left, so I finally got the warning, and we made it work out. Got to the end of our yapping, and not like 4 seconds left, like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll get ready to shut this thing down, man. I'm super excited for this game. I know we can win it. We got to go out there and do it. I know they know what they got to do, and it just seems like when our backs have been against the wall, they've done what they've needed to do. And nobody thinks we're going to win this game. I mean, it's not so bad where everybody's picked the Ravens. I think,
But I think we're the underdog. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the underdogs, but like, like out of a panel of 10, like 3 is probably picking us, something like that, rather than like everybody picking the Ravens or that one lone person picking, the Bengals. It's, by and large Ravens, but
Maybe like 70-30 split or something.
yeah, definitely something like that. So, and I mean, they sort of earned it. The last 2 weeks they played really good, football. The first 2 weeks, they lost, and but they kind of pulled it around and made people like, oh yeah, that's the Ravens, and we haven't done that. We've won and played some good in parts of the game, but maybe haven't put it together like that, where we like look like the quote unquote dominated. And the Bills is what got them in that, where they kind of crushed the Bills on Sunday night. So it's got everybody back on their jock,
So we need to do the thing to make people on our jock. We need to be, oh, that's the Bengals. We need to do that
oh,
today.
whoa, maybe they're not done. So all right, man. Let's go watch a football game here, man. We'll be in the chat. So y'all, let's go get this win, man. Let's just take this North over. Let's where what was that one? What was that T-shirt? The when Joe won it the first time? Bengals run the North.
Yeah, they're on the North.
That's what we need to do again, man.
Yes.
Right.
Make a statement.
This will be our statement win there. So, all right, y'all. Stripes and coffee out. Ravens week. See y'all.